most unique ways that we can leverage AI in the landscape space is specifically tied to making the everyday account manager's job more streamlined. One area I feel like AI can really be utilized and Aspire is doubling down is increasing those opportunities for enhancement sales by automating that site audit process. But if you're not providing client budget worksheets to your people when you're having the renewal conversations and really sitting down and having a human conversation, you're missing out.
Hey, it's Jack Jostes, and welcome back to the Landscaper's Guide podcast. Today, I'm excited to interview Maggie Wymore from Aspire Software. Maggie, how are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you, Jack?
Good,
Thank
good.
you for having me on.
Yeah, thanks for coming. So we're wrapping up 2025, and what are some of the things that you're kind of coaching Aspire clients on, or that you'd want landscape companies to think of to really button up their financials for the end of the year?
Yeah, it's a great question. There's a couple of things. Obviously, I grew up in the industry, and we all feel the seasonality of the industry. But if you are looking to close out your year, adjust things, the first thing I would look at is just like the health of my contracts as I'm going into next year, and am I setting my team up for success? And that starts with just reviewing those high-end financials. I'll get a little bit more into the contract side of things, but as a landscape owner, you want to make sure when you're reviewing your year-end financials, so your long-term plan in mind. So what does your 2026 look like? Do you plan on buying a company? Do you plan on selling your company? Do you plan on getting some private equity investment? And are your financials set up to make yourself look desirable? If you're just kind of looking to keep status quo and just kind of run another year as a landscape company, what are your growth goals? How are you investing in sales? Like everything that you provide, Jack, in the sales marketing space, I think it's important to look at what are your strategies you're going to double down on next year. What parts of your business are operating most healthily? What areas of your business are operating at a healthy level? So if it's your fertilization part, if it's your snow removal, which we all can't depend on snow, really understanding down to that service line where you are making money and where you are losing money.
I like that. So really running do you mean like running a profit and loss by department, or how would you do that?
Yeah, you can do that. You have to dial it back a little bit, and you have to start with the inputs. So as you're going into the last month of your year, I would actually go back and get your hands dirty and review every single job to make sure there's nothing left behind, there's no costs not associated with it, your teams are operating in the correct rhythm, so that when you do get to that point where you're reviewing your P&L, and drilling it down to a monthly basis, a service basis, however you want to dissect it based on your goals, you have the right inputs, because data and results that you get out of data is only as good as the inputs.
So Maggie, you mentioned that you grew up in the industry. I know that you've worked at Aspire for like 8 or 9 years now, is that right?
Yep.
So tell us a little bit about your background.
Yeah, for sure. So my first job in the industry was when I was 14. I've always been ambitious. So right in high school, I told my parents I wanted to get a job at a local nursery and landscape company outside of Chicago in a small suburb. It's called Harms Farm and Landscape.
Which suburb?
It was in McHenry, Illinois.
Okay, I'm from Arlington Heights,
Oh,
Illinois.
I was born in Arlington Heights, so very, very familiar with it.
I was born in Arlington Heights.
Probably same hospital.
My first job was working at Pesci's Flowers in Des Plaines.
I know exactly where that is. Yeah, so that's awesome.
That's cool. So you worked at...
It was a small company. It's called Harms Farm. It was like family-owned business.
That's cool.
It was watering plants in the greenhouse, weeding, helping with the cash register, potting, doing things like that. So, and then when I went to college, I decided to go into engineering, quickly realized that I'm too much of a people person, that didn't want to stay in engineering, and went back and switched my major to horticulture. So I graduated from University of Illinois with a degree in horticulture, emphasis in production and management. And then outside of college, I moved to a large commercial landscaper up in the Chicagoland area to do an internship and then work full-time. That company was called Acres Group. They're now a Yellowstone company. And then when I got married, moved down to St. Louis, worked for a small landscaper down there, Dalco Enterprises. And then I found myself just wanting to make a bigger impact on the industry. So I had just had my first child. I was ready to take on more. And Aspire Software is local to St. Louis, where I had lived, and came on very early on in their journey. I was the 23rd employee and have been there ever since and could not be happier.
And how many people are there now?
Oh goodness, probably...
Specific to Aspire.
Specific to
Because
Aspire,
it's owned by ServiceTitan.
Correct.
And so that's a whole different company, really.
Right. I would say Aspire is close to between the 600 and 700 employee
Wow.
mark, yeah.
Okay, cool. So you were 23?
I was employee 23.
That's really cool.
Yeah, back in the days when it was just the two founders running everything and just kind of figuring things out.
Well, so what about Aspire keeps you there? So why are you still there when you were employee 23 and now there's 500 or 600?
Yeah.
What about the company is still the same, and what about it that's new do you like?
Yeah. So what keeps me there is the customers, because I was a customer. Like, I was the end user of technology in the landscape industry, and I saw what great impact it made to me when I was an account manager and a salesperson. How technology really helped me sell more, and I was driven to sell more. And why I continue to stay though on top of that is when ServiceTitan acquired Aspire back in 2021, I saw a significant increase into making our customer experience better. The investment in that was it's still to this day is incredible, but also I saw founders who shared a vision. And so the founders of ServiceTitan and the founders of Aspire share the same vision, which is putting our customers first and making sure that everything we do, from reviewing our financials to what enhancements are going next into the product, are based in what help our customers the most.
Well, that's cool. I didn't know that about you, so that's good to hear some of that. Speaking of enhancements,
Yes.
right? So enhancements were, one of the things that we wanted to talk about. What ideas do you have to help people listening sell more enhancements?
Yeah, that's a very loaded question. And as someone who used to carry an enhancement quota against my maintenance portfolio for many years, this is a topic that's pretty near and dear to my heart. And it's something that I want to make sure that...
Were you an account manager at a commercial landscape company?
I was, yeah.
Okay, was that
It was in Chicago, yeah. Yes, I was there for about 4 years.
What was your quota?
So I managed about a $1.2 million portfolio of commercial properties, primarily HOA based, and my quota was to sell at least 70% of that in enhancements every year. So $700,000 to $800,000.
That seems pretty high. I hear a lot of other commercial contractors targeting closer to 30%.
Yeah, I think it depends on what is included in that initial contract, and that varies.
Okay, that can vary a lot
by market.
What do you see typically with Aspire customers, and do they have that penetration rate benchmark in your software that they're measuring against?
Yeah, that's a great question. I'm not sure. I would say the industry average is 50% from what I've seen, specifically in the commercial space. Now, when you get into residential, there's a whole different. It's definitely lower on the residential side, because people just want to write one check to have their lawn taken care of and their property taken care of. On the commercial space, they always try to cut down that initial maintenance contract to the bare minimum, and then say, if there's budget, we'll add all those enhancements after that. And that was kind of the methodology that we went against. And we loved it too, because we could sell enhancements at a higher profit margin than obviously the maintenance contract. So we were keep the contract as simple as possible and load up and really score to make money on the enhancements. Yeah.
And so how are some ways that you're helping people with that?
Yeah, for sure. So obviously AI is a very catchy term that's happening in the industry right now.
I'm presenting on AI here. I'm presenting on ChatGPT.
Nice.
And I noticed, there's I think 5 other sessions at NALP Elevate on that. So it is the buzz right now, and it's awesome. So how are you using AI to help people with enhancements?
So I think one of the most unique ways that we can leverage AI in the landscape space is specifically tied to making the everyday account manager's job more streamlined. And when I was I'm going to tell a quick story, but when I was an account manager, I had this large property in my portfolio. You might know them. It's called Greg's Landing. It was in Libertyville, Illinois.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I did for them that they loved is I put together, now this is back early days, but I put together an early day site audit. And every month when I go out there, I put together a property report. I would say, here's what's going well, here's some things I noticed, here's some things that happened, but also here's some areas for opportunity. And they loved it. And it was something that hit the board of directors. It was kind of that proactive approach and the forward way of thinking before site audits were even a thing in the landscape industry. So I think that was what resulted in it. Let's take a step back. What resulted in it was they continued to renew their contract. In that, they wanted to tie me into that contract, that they wanted me to be their ongoing account manager, obviously assuming life events happened, but they wanted me to be their ongoing account manager to provide them for that proactive communication so they didn't have to be on top of everything all the time. I don't know if you work with a ton of board of directors, but like it's a volunteer job and they want to do right by the community. And so if you as a landscaper in the commercial space can take some of that burden off of them,
yes,
they are just like, they can walk into their board meetings being like, look who we hired. This person's an all-star. So how that's translating into what we're doing with the AI space. I think that's a big opportunity for Aspire to take the existing site audit platform and re-envision it to make it more automated. So one area you can do that is think about this as you're out on a property and you identify something as, okay, this tree needs to be removed, for example. And I take a picture of it and I put those notes in. In the current workflow, we're taking that back, we're then putting together an estimate, we're linking the photo with the notes and everything, and we're sending out to the customer. There's time there, right? One area I feel like AI can really be utilized, and Aspire is doubling down, is increasing those opportunities for enhancement sales by automating that site audit process and streamlining it into enhancements based on just the photo you're taking and the notes you're inputting. So it's using technology to say, hey, I see this photo, I see these notes, based on trends that I've seen how you've estimated stuff in the past, I would put together this estimate, and then you're just reviewing the estimate instead of putting it together.
I love that. Yeah, because that would add a lot of speed to it.
Correct. Yeah, so it's kind of taking out the manual steps for you, especially for people who are on the field.
So that's pretty neat on the enhancement side. What about on just simply retaining clients?
Yeah, I think this is an area that we get so lost. I'm thinking back to my days when I was having to do hundreds and hundreds of renewals when I was working for a residential company. This is an area we get lost in the industry, is we get bogged down. Renewal time is upon us. Like, we should be thinking about our renewals right now, and especially in seasonal markets, in more year-round markets that kind of ebb and flow. But you need to be reviewing your contracts at a line-by-line basis. And what I mean by that is a lot of times people will say, oh, this property is not performing well. I'm going to slap a 3% increase on them and call it a day. When in actuality, you dig in and you find out, well, the mowing's doing great. We're losing on the fertilization and the trimming because we're spending way too much time there, or we bid it at $15 a man hour, and we're putting people out there who make $18 a man hour, so we're losing our margins there. And it's an area with maintenance being a low material, like a pretty much no material business. Labor hours are so important, and reviewing that by service line on an annual basis and saying, okay, I'm going to hold your mowing price, but I do need to increase pruning. And when you're having those conversations with the clients, you could say, here's why, like, we're actually losing money on this service, and I want to make sure that we continue to do the great job. Of course, we're not going to ask you to go back and pay anything that misses in the past, but we would love to see if we could work a way into making this right for everyone moving forward. It creates that conversation that's more organic and natural.
I like that, and that goes back to one of your opening comments about reviewing your books line by line and service by service.
Right.
And then taking that a step further for each individual property that you're about to renew.
Correct. And then also, like, in addition, like, tying it back into the enhancement sales side of things, like, you should be proactively providing them a budget. Here's what your monthly budget looks like, but this year you bought this enhancement and this enhancement. You can probably estimate that you'll have to take out that tree next year for this amount. Being proactive with your customers, saying, while you're budgeting, I would recommend you budget for this.
Yeah, I'm curious, does your AI tool, so let's pretend that I'm doing my monthly site audit and I'm proposing the tree removal, I'm proposing sod here, I'm proposing whatever enhancement, but they decline those things. How does your AI tool, when I get to renewal time, help me proactively bring those back up?
For sure. So like, inside Aspire, and it's actually not through the AI feature, but it's just through our general platform, you have the ability to include that quote in the future year's client budget. So if they decline it this year, but you're like, that should be a conversation, and I know you do a lot of sales coaching, but that should be a conversation that comes naturally to people. Understand it's not in the budget this year. This came up as an unexpected cost. Is it something that you, when I'm renewing your contract, you want me to provide in your budget worksheet for the following year? But if you're not providing client budget worksheets to your people when you're having the renewal conversations and really sitting down and having a human conversation, you're missing out. And so that's an area I definitely want to, and utilizing tools, layer on tools such as Property Intel, and we have a really cool partner tool called Convex to help you sell more. Part of your 2026 plan is to grow. You should be looking into utilizing a tool like Convex, Property Intel to help you streamline. All of these things I could talk on for hours, but at the end of the day, to provide the best client experience, you should be reviewing things and having the data to back them up to support your conversations, because at the end of the day, we're all people and we just want to know the facts.
Cool. Well, Maggie, it's been fun getting to know you, fellow Arlington Heights native.
Yes.
For folks who want to learn more about Aspire, or maybe if they're even a current customer, where can we learn more about some of the things you're talking about today?
Absolutely. I mean, pretty sure. I'm very active on LinkedIn if you want to reach out to me personally on LinkedIn, Maggie Wymore. I'm all around the industry, as well as you can reach out to our team directly through our website. Happy to help, shoot me a message. Any way I can support you, I'd be happy to.
Cool. Well, Maggie Wymore, we'll put your LinkedIn in the show notes. Thanks for coming on the Landscaper's Guide. I appreciate it.
Thanks. I got to be excited to do it again. Thanks, Jack.
Yeah, it was fun. Hey, it's Jack, and if you enjoyed today's episode, I invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Check us out on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and subscribe at landscapersguide.com/podcast so you never miss an episode. Plus, get invitations to my live and virtual events. My name's Jack Jostes, and I look forward to talking with you next week on the Landscaper's Guide.